my name be feared at the gates of hell, as I exalt the Savior.
All right.
I just spilt water on my shirt. I also spilt that spaghetti on my legs earlier.
Great. Oh
my God. Welcome back to the KingdomCore Podcast.
Oh my gosh. Welcome back.
How's it going, Sean?
You're messier than my kid.
Yeah, we've leapt through to the future, and your child is now a couple months old.
Yeah, this is weird for me because this is the first episode we're recording, but this isn't going to be the first episode to go out. So like, I want to make this a welcome back.
Yeah, you guys don't need a welcome back.
It is for you and I.
You've been with us for a bit now.
Yeah, you guys have already listened to Bloodlines, possibly some other band interviews. And if you've only heard Bloodlines, that means we can get another band on. Yeah, so it is good to be back, even though you guys have already heard it. Thank you for all your warm regards to me and my wife with the birth of our son a couple months back. It's been incredible. We are so blessed, and God is so good. But Amen. That is not what we are here for today. Chris, what are we here for?
We're here for today.
We're here for today.
And
that was pretty good.
And Impending Doom.
And Impending Doom, yes.
So we are doing round 2 / kind of 3 for our tier list.
Yeah, episode 2.
2 officially.
But like part 3, I don't know.
We're doing more tier lists for a couple more bands, or a few more bands.
We're doing bands 5, 6, and 7. How about that?
Yeah. And we had a great response from the first time that we did this, and we loved reading your guys' comments about how you guys would rank certain bands or how we were totally off. So let's keep it going, but everybody keep it civil. We want to hear your comments, though.
Yes.
And
Chris and I don't have to keep it civil, but you guys do.
Yeah, we're allowed to argue, and that's it.
We're allowed to yeah, that's it. But if you guys are not familiar with the tier maker list, we're not going to explain it to you. Just go back and listen to our previous one. We have like a 2-part episode. If you're listening on streaming, listen to the first one, which will be like the older one. So that we have a part 1 and a part 2. Part 1 should be like an hour, and part 2 is like 30 minutes or something. So go back and listen to those, and then you could catch up, listen to this. You'll be all caught up to speed on how these work.
Absolutely. So we've already got our Impending Doom discography.
Yeah, we're going to get right into it. 3 minutes into recording, and we've actually started the episode.
Not quite yet.
Never mind. I spoke too soon.
Guys, we're low on. We haven't read every single one.
We have no reviews, guys.
But we need more new reviews that are well written. We're sorry if we haven't said yours yet. It's just some of them don't quite work.
Because it's not well written.
Not what I meant. But some of them, like, we just need some new really good ones. So if you guys enjoy this podcast, if you've enjoyed the podcast before, if you're new and check out some episodes, head over to Apple Podcasts and leave a well-written review, and we will...
Doesn't have to be anything fancy. Doesn't have to be an essay.
No, I want an essay, though.
Chris wants an essay.
But we will possibly read it on a future episode of the KingdomCore Podcast. So thank you to each and every one of you who have already left reviews and ratings. I think we have
Yes, on Spotify you can also rate. You can't write a review, but
you can leave comments
on Spotify
because you
can leave comments on Spotify.
We had this discussion last time.
Did we?
But there's it's a newer feature.
Okay.
We basically it defaults to ask what was your favorite part of this episode, and I need to get better at actually editing what the question is, but some of you guys have basically left reviews, so to speak.
Have they?
But
that's cool.
Read some of those. More episode specific, though. Like, I really loved this episode and this guest. So,
that's cool. Okay.
Thank you for each and every one of you who takes the time to do that. All right.
Yes.
Let's hop in.
All right. Let's do it.
So we're going Impending Doom, and we're doing our records in order, essentially. Like
I'm sorry. Did we? I haven't been paying attention. Did we say what bands we're doing, or did we only say Doom?
No, we said the bands.
We said the bands.
Yeah, you guys will have to wait for the rest.
It is like 10 p.m. and I worked like 12 hours, over 12 hours today. We were supposed to record an hour and a half ago.
Yeah. All right.
Alrighty. Nailed, dead, risen. I really want to do that. Yeah, I really want to do the scream, the intro.
Nailed, dead, risen.
Is that close enough?
It was decent. Rest in peace, headphone users.
Yeah, that was my best impression of the grindcore era of Impending Doom.
Can we even call it grindcore? Like,
What's the other name? I feel like people used to call it like gorecore or something.
It really just people call them goreship.
Goreship, right?
I don't know. Like, it feels just like death metal. Like, it really just feels like a
but it's like more
death metal.
chuggy.
It is very chuggy, but it's got just like normal like death metal vocals, like stuff you would hear in like Infant Annihilator and stuff like that.
This was the stuff that before I got into metal that my brother and I actively made fun of, like because I can't understand any of the words at all.
Exactly, just like that meme.
Yeah.
But. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like it kind of blends genres. Like, I can understand why people call it grindcore. I've heard it be called like brutal death metal.
Right.
That's probably the most accurate. If you're gonna if we're gonna gatekeep and genre define, I would say like a brutal death metal album.
That's fair.
That being said, I think it's an incredible record. What do you think, Chris?
I think it's good.
I know you're not huge into like the brutal death metal.
Yeah,
I know that.
I mean, I don't mind it. I just think. It's like a totally different
for you, right?
Yeah, and it's like a totally different band from the rest of their albums. Almost like I can see the elements of it. But the rest of the discography,
I really only think vocally it's that way.
Yes,
because like I was re-listening to it like literally an hour and a half ago, and like my main takeaway through it was this doesn't sound that much different than the Servant. Other than like vocally, and then maybe being a little chuggier, the mix, the production,
everything got a little bit crisper and cleaner from here on.
Yeah, that's fair.
So it just made it more audible. Like you can hear everything that's going on because this album's almost like a wall of noise, which is fine.
It's so good. It
suits its purpose.
I think it's very clear though. Like you can hear every element distinctly. I think even the vocals, like you can understand them at some points. Some
being the defining word.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, we know that this is a hugely influential record and very well respected and well revered, especially outside of the Christian scene. Like this album put Impending Doom on the map. People in the deathcore scene still to this day, whether they hate God or love God, they most of the time love Impending Doom and highly respect them, especially because of this record.
Okay.
That being said, Chris, thoughts and what would you rate it at?
I am not a hater of this album by any means. Especially because it's a Face Down Records album, and that being my favorite label, and
the heaviest Face Down album record, probably.
Yeah, probably. There's a place for it in my heart. I don't want to completely hate on it.
Place for it on this tier list.
No, I'm just kidding. Totally kidding.
Wow. Okay.
No.
Goodbye, guys.
I think in light of some of their later records and just overall quality production, like it's of its time. So I understand, it's 2007 and it's heavier than a lot of the rest of their stuff.
Up though.
I think my gut instinct would be to give this a C.
Oh, Chris.
And maybe I want to hear, Brooke, if you're listening, I want your opinion. Am I right?
Because I feel like Brooke's not listening. David might be listening.
I just I understand the love for it. I totally understand. I think calling it a C.
Are you rating it a C? Hang on. Are you rating it a C based on how much you enjoy it, or are you rating it a C because you think it is a C tier album?
More so how I enjoy it. But okay. I think if at max, I would say it's a B tier. But I think in just lieu of what's coming up, I think C is a fair baseline because I don't think this is their best record by any means.
It's a top record, but like I was gonna go A.
I knew you were. Like, I wanted to lower it, so that's why I'm okay with it.
I know a lot of people probably think this is an S tier record. A lot of people think this is their best. Again, I don't listen to a ton of brutal death metal. I do enjoy a fair bit of death metal in doses, and particular records, particular bands. I think this is a really, really, really fantastic record. And just because the genre isn't one of my favorites, I don't know if I have the expertise in this genre to be able to say it's like a perfect record of like the brutal death metal sound. So because of that, I'm hesitant to give it an S, just because I don't have anything else to compare it to.
Yeah, and that's the same thing where I don't, especially when it comes to the secular scene, I don't know other albums like this that sound like this. I have nothing to compare it to.
We're youth group boys.
Yeah. Sheltered youth group boys.
Until I was like 18.
In youth group,
if I saw an E next to a song, I wouldn't even listen to it.
I'm kind of still like that.
Chris is still that way.
But my parents would have like, if they heard me listening to this when I first got into music in 2007, like when this came out, they would have like thrown it in the garbage and lit it on fire, probably.
That's so funny. So I give it a super solid A. When I just re-listened to it, I loved every minute of it, and I was like, this is really, really fantastic.
So are we going to be nice boys and compromise like how well we did last time and give it the middle ground?
I mean, we have to. This hurts. I knew that this would probably get a B, unfortunately, but
I kind of had that suspicion too, but that's why I had to negotiate it a little bit.
Well, guys, I tried.
We'll see. Maybe by the end of this we change our minds, but or more specifically, I changed my mind.
Yeah. All right. Serpent Servant. Probably the most brutal of their artworks.
Yes, this is their best cover art.
This is like the album you show your friend and they're like, really? That's Christian? Like just purely the album.
Dude,
art.
Imagine if it was this cover art and the last album sound.
I know, that'd actually be wild.
But the lyrics of this album.
Yeah.
Like Storming the Gates of Hell, but with the sound of the first
The lyrics of Nailed Dead Risen are like honestly the most Christian of all of their records, which is pretty crazy.
Yeah.
I like this record a lot.
I like this record.
I think it's a really fantastic record. I mean, More Than Conquerors is like a top 3 Doom song. That riff is legendary. Lives On, again, is another one that I think transcends past the Christian scene into the secular scene where people think of it as like a scene classic.
Right.
Anything Goes is just a banger.
This is kind of the one where I'm like, I don't know. See, and I want to preface this by saying out of these bands, Impending Doom is my least listened to. Doesn't mean I haven't listened to them quite a bit, but
I was so shocked when you told me that
when we were talking earlier. I just honestly, like, I got into them a bit later. I knew of them at least since 2010, if not earlier, but I didn't like metal until 2010, and so I couldn't stand deathcore, death metal, like the really heavy stuff until later on. Like I didn't really get into them until just before Sin and Doom Volume 2 came out. So
I was so delighted to find out I've been listening to Doom actively longer than Chris.
I mean, okay,
even though I didn't.
Then Murderer.
He got into metal like 5 years before I did.
Murderer was one song I made an exception for, even though I wasn't a huge fan of the genre. Like
that's
2012.
That's the song that hooked me.
I listened to that.
I thought they were too heavy when I was into them because like I had a buddy like showed me all the metalcore on Facedown, and I loved it. He's like, dude, you gotta listen to Impending Doom, and I'm like, dude, it's just like it's too heavy. Like I just can't. He's like, listen to Murderer, and I was like, oh, this is like the coolest thing I've ever heard.
Yeah. See, like, and that's the thing was that between some of these albums, there's those specific songs that stand out.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And that one I think is possibly like it's their most memorable to me. Like it's the one that like I think it's their best song.
I mean, like streaming wise, I think it's their most popular.
Yeah.
I think on YouTube it probably has the most views of any of their music videos.
Yeah.
But we'll talk about that soon. Later.
Serpent, I
give it an A. I really like this record.
I think we can agree on that. I will say it's
cool.
an A.
I could give it an A. I definitely think it's like a top 3 or 4 Doom record, personally.
Yeah. This one will be interesting because I know there's a lot of hate.
Least favorite.
It's Brooks.
I've never heard fans hate it.
Okay.
Brooke hates this record. He thinks he sounds awful.
Right. Did he like? I thought he said something about that he didn't like Nailed Dead Risen that much either.
I mean, he might not, but like online, like everyone knows that Brooke just hates There Will Be Violence, and they still will play the title track live sometimes because it's a good track. Yeah. I think he just hates like how his vocals sounded, and he thinks he could have done way better. Yeah, he does not like his vocal performance.
Hey, Impending Doom, maybe you gotta re-record the whole record.
That would be cool. It's owned by Facedown though, so I don't know if they.
Most record deals, it depends on what their deal was, because sometimes at a certain,
I don't think they get the rights
at a certain age, because that album is what, like
that album
14, 13 years old now.
Yeah, it's July 20th, 2010.
Yeah, 14, like it's possible that there's some point in the near future where Impending Doom could own the rights again.
I mean, maybe that'd be cool. Yeah, I would. Yeah, like a remaster, or maybe just keep the instruments the same and just a re-vocal take would be kind of cool.
Yeah.
But anyway, I think it's a good album. I definitely think it's one of and I hate to use the word worth, like I just think it's a lower tier.
I think that goes without saying that every single one of these bands that we're talking about and every single album, I think we like them all. Like it's not like we're saying, oh, this album sucks.
Again, if you didn't listen to the first episode of these, we went over that in excruciating detail. This one's hard because it's got some bangers. Yeah. Like I think Orphans is a really cool song. Children of Wrath is great. I don't know. I kind of just give it a like. I don't know. I don't want to say C because I feel like that's a little mean.
I would say B.
I'd be okay with a B.
Yeah. I think that's the thing. It's like it's. Maybe in some ways it's not as good as Serpent, but it kind of like obviously they were still gaining their sound, and this was the second album with this kind of sound.
That's true,
and it's a little bit more refined than Serpent. Like the production, the tones that were used. It like we were talking about Sin and Doom being a little bit more metalcore-y. I think this album is that. But, you know, I think when you compare Nailed Dead Risen and this record, they're like obviously two drastically different records.
Right, exactly.
But they're kind of on that same par. I'm like, yeah, they're both solid albums. But
all right, Baptized in Filth.
Okay,
throw that up there. Throw that at the top.
Oh yeah, S tier right away.
That an S.
Okay.
Oh, that's a right.
Yeah. Well, I think
it's like their most popular record.
Yeah.
Mainstream wise, I think it's it was like my deathcore like gateway album for sure.
I was kind of anticipating what's coming next, but we'll see.
I think Baptized in Filth is fantastic.
Yeah.
I think there's zero skips. Not that I'm gonna go on a tangent. If you listen to albums and skip songs you don't like, grow up, please. Just grow up. when people say that's a no skip album, I'm like, my least favorite albums by my favorite bands are still no skip albums.
Yeah.
Like, just listen to the album. If you don't like a song, listen to it until maybe you do like it. I will listen to an album for years, and there might be one song I'm not huge on. All of a sudden, one day, I go through something, and I listen to it, and it applies directly to what I'm going through, and it's like my new favorite by them.
Right. I think, like, I've never been a person to skip a song.
Right.
Like, I will. We went over this before.
If you're listening to playlists, skip. That's fine.
Yeah.
But an album deserves to be listened to all the way through.
I'll be honest. I hate playlists.
Playlists suck.
Playlists are the worst idea to music.
Playlists have ruined the music industry.
I think
we need to make an episode about this.
we should. We really should. I think
streaming in general has ruined music. Okay,
guys, grab a CD, grab a vinyl, put it on, listen to the whole thing. Like, actively listen to a whole thing in order. And that way of listening to music, I think, will always be the most superior. Like, that's what it's meant to be, I think.
Yeah. Skipping like a song on a record to me is like the adult equivalent of like ordering a cheese pizza because you don't like pepperoni.
Or like any sort of toppings at all.
Yeah. I just get my burger with ketchup only.
That's a pretty good analogy.
Grow up.
Yeah. We really comment and let us know. Do we need to make a full episode about this topic? I think we should
have like a guest or two on for that. That'd be interesting. Someone who's like been in the industry before and after.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm just describing Jason Wilson.
I was about to say Jason Wilson. Speaking of which, I was listening to Dichotomy again this week. Talk about no skip.
We should do Becoming the Archetype for our next discography.
I think.
One.
Oh man, that would be crazy.
That'd be fun.
Okay, back to Impending Doom.
All right. Baptized in Filth.
Baptized in Filth.
So
I want to say I listened.
My Light Unseen. They better play this live with Demon Hunter
going to say
on their tour.
So
they better.
That song, when I listened to this record yesterday or this morning, I can't remember now. But when My Light Unseen, I always forget that song is on there. And I'm like, oh my goodness.
I forget it every time too for whatever reason.
I'm like, song featuring Ryan Clark. Like, this is probably Ryan Clark's best feature. I think. Like, I can't think of another song that he features on.
Can we even call it a feature if he's the whole track?
I mean, Brooke's in it a little bit,
I guess. Yeah, Brooke does scream in the back,
But it's just like, it's such a good song, man. It sounds like a heavier Demon Hunter song. Like if Demon Hunter was more doomy.
Well, it honestly just sounds like if Demon Hunter did like a really heavy power ballad.
Yeah.
Like I could see it being a Demon Hunter track.
Yeah.
Like for the longest time, I thought maybe it was like a throwaway Demon Hunter track.
It's like, here, take this one and scream over it a little bit.
Well, I literally thought that for a while until we had Brooke on the podcast and I asked him. I was not convinced.
I need to listen to that again.
That was a fun episode.
But yeah, Baptized in Filth, I think just overall, it's a good record.
But not their best record.
Oh, okay. This is where it's going down.
Death Will Reign, S tier, heaviest Christian metal record of all time. Heaviest Christian metal song of all time. I said it was the heaviest on Face Down. I don't care what anyone thinks. Like, I don't care if things are actually heavier. Yeah. I just think Death Will Reign hits harder than like anything else for me personally. Okay. Again, this is another topic we could do for another episode is like the definition of heavy is so subjective. What is heavy to like each person?
But I have a question for you to ponder on this record specifically.
Okay. Yeah.
Do you have nostalgia glasses on for this one?
Nope, not at all. No? It took me a while for this to become my favorite Doom album, actually.
Okay.
And I have converted quite a few people to realizing that this is actually their best record. Number one, I will say that Will Ramos, when like Lorna Shore was getting huge, Will Ramos actually came out. He did an interview, I think, with like Loudwire or something, and this was like one of his top 10 like most influential records.
Right.
So I think that right there is like really, really cool.
Yeah.
Number 2, like there's literally like the album does not give you a break. It is just so just brutal all the way through. The riffs are insane. There's blast beats the whole time. It's just like one giant breakdown, this record.
I will admit.
Why? What are your thoughts on this record?
So I was
and
listening
was
to
the
this
last
album
time
today.
you listened?
No, it was today. I listened to it today.
You listened to the whole thing?
Yeah.
Okay.
The first half of the whole record, like, I wasn't really feeling it. Maybe it was because...
Really?
No. Okay, hold on.
Ravenous is...
Hold on. Maybe that wasn't the right wording.
Okay.
Because I've listened to... I wanted
engaged?
to re-listen to as much Impending Doom as I possibly could. And this was,
Right.
I think, wasn't my last thing to listen to.
Were you all
but
doomed out?
I was maybe getting a little doomed out. And I think
That's valid.
the first half of this album kind of... When I got to like the 4th or 5th track, I was kind of like, this is starting to all blend together too much. And I think it was more on this record. Then Hellhole hit.
Hellhole is so heavy.
And I think through I've only listened to this album maybe 4-5 times total now. It's not the one I gravitate toward. I go to Baptized in Filth because like that's the one I know.
That's actually my most listened to is Baptized in Filth.
Okay. So
my favorite records are almost never my most listened to.
yeah. So are you trying to argue that this one's actually my favorite?
No, I was just saying.
So Hellhole like hit hard. Like it was like, oh, this is the different track from this album, I felt like. And then My Blood was the same thing. I was like, whoa, okay, so I feel like it was
every
the last
song is so different on the record.
I felt like it was the last half of the record was to me. Like
man.
I'm just saying Baptized in Filth, I think, has a little bit more differentiating in between the songs. Like it separates a little bit more. This album, maybe like technically speaking, I wasn't listening to like all the riffs and everything going on. Maybe technically speaking is a better album, but it blended a bit more together for me. So I kind of lean and I say Baptized in Filth is the better album just from my personal listening. I understand, like I get why this record, like it's brutal. It goes like it just punches, it doesn't slow down. And I think maybe that's one fault of it is that it doesn't slow down. Like Baptized in Filth, even though it's towards the end, My Light Unseen had something that was totally different that stood out after starting off with like the most crazy track ever.
That's not the most Murder is not the most crazy track ever. Have you heard the breakdown on Death Will Reign? Have you heard that breakdown?
I literally, my headphones are so loud, I literally just hit play in my music player. I don't know if this will come across. It was just like,
there you
it
go.
just like came in so.
But have you heard the breakdown?
Okay, hold on.
It is the heaviest and longest. Can you do the audio share thing on YouTube?
Okay, let's try this. So yeah, there's a new feature
on our recording software.
we can finally. Oh, I have to stop recording the other thing. You have to bring it up. You bring it up, and we'll edit it.
I have to bring it up.
Bring it up to YouTube, and then
okay, let's do this. Can you see that?
Yeah.
All right, we're gonna play this part of the song. Keep in mind, at this point, it's already been building up for about like 20 or 25 seconds.
Right.
So like the anticipation is built, and we still probably have another 10 to 20 seconds before the breakdown actually hits. But it's just the heaviest thing ever.
Ooh, that sounds terrible, man.
Bro, like
snare bomb.
It's so heavy, man. That snare bomb, oh, every time. And then they just do this for like a full minute. It's so in your face, that guitar tone.
But I feel like, okay, hit pause. I feel like this sounds similar to the breakdown of Murderer.
No, not at all. Not at all. It's the same band.
It's actually the same breakdown as Murderer. It just
except it's not.
It is. It's the same beat.
It's not.
And it's the same like
Well, that was Murderer. That wasn't the Deathful Rain breakdown. No, that wasn't the Deathful Rain.
Okay.
No. Nope. This isn't happening.
Oh my goodness.
I know that you guys will come to my defense in the comments. I know it. Every single DM I get about this, I am screenshotting, sending to Chris. Every single one.
Okay. I think this is an A.
They are gonna eat you alive. It is. I mean, it's an S. I'm so happy that you said A and not B.
Well, so that do not say B.
No.
I just know that you're saying that now because now you're like, well, I have an argument. We can bring it up to S.
Well, I mean, yeah. I would love to bring it up to S. I don't like. Why?
Okay, fine. How about this? I will give you S on this one, and you have to give me some wiggle room on the next one.
No can do. Well, it depends.
I'm not gonna like overhype the next one. Don't worry. I'm not gonna be. But I think it's not as bad as a lot of people say.
Right. Give me S on this.
Okay. Sin and Doom Volume 2.
All
S tier,
right,
baby.
Are you serious?
No, I'm kidding.
Okay. I was about to rage quit.
I would
Sin and Doom Volume 2.
Yeah.
A lot of people aren't. A lot of longtime Doom fans don't like this record a ton. I think it's got a lot of great songs. I don't have any problem with this album. I just think most of their other albums are better than it. I don't think this is necessarily worse. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I feel like those are two completely opposite things.
I get what you're saying, and I think
I don't think how good their other albums make me enjoy this one any less. Mm-hmm. I just think their other albums are a lot better.
So you won't give me an A on this one.
I was gonna go B with this one.
Okay.
That's not just bad. Because the Wretched and Godless is amazing. I love that song. War Music is awesome. Yeah. Unbroken's great. Everything's fake.
I think
really
this
good.
album.
I think Run for Your Life is actually a really underrated Doom track. I think that's a really, really cool outro to the album.
Yeah, and I think what this album has going for
I was in the music video for Paved with Bones.
What?
Story time. I was at the Sin and Doom Volume 2 album release show, Chain Reaction in California in 2018. The week before this album came out, and they're like, we're gonna play a song that's not out yet called Paved with Bones, and we're gonna record a music video. We're gonna play it twice right now, record all the footage we can, and at the end of the set we're gonna play it another 2 times. So I got to hear that song 4 times. Which is really cool.
That's crazy.
And I was there, and I tried so hard to get in it, and the music video's in black and white, and for 6 years I still cannot find myself in the music video, but I know where I was standing the entire time, and I always look over there, and I'm like, there has to be shadows covering me or something. So if you guys listening
short,
have I'm 5'10", bro.
I'm kidding.
But if you guys have too much time on your hands, try to find me. I didn't have a beard back then.
We need
so.
the like FBI enhanced screen, like bring it
yes,
up and
literally enhance. Yeah, zoom in, enhance. So that was cool being a part of that.
Yeah. See, I think
the only music video I could say I was a part of, quote unquote.
I'm in one. Well, you can't see my face. Maybe the bottom of my chin, but like I'm in the front of the camera for half a second, and it's my body hitting some other person.
That's fun.
But it's not
Dude,
a metal.
My friend texted me the other day saying that he's in the Break the Cycle music video, and I was like, "What?
Wait, who did?"
My buddy,
okay.
one of my followers that I'm friends with.
No, that's crazy, man.
Yeah,
that would have been a
out, Ben.
hype video shoot.
I know.
It's like on top of a building.
I found him in 5 seconds. He's in the front. I was like, how did I never notice this was you?
That's cool.
Anyway.
So Sin and Doom Volume 2, I think that this album, what it has going for it, maybe it's a weaker album to a lot of people, it seems like, compared to some of the other stuff.
I mean, it's
I think it has more... There's more individual tracks that are memorable that stand out, like all the ones we listed. Whereas the other albums, to me, only have 2 or 3 songs. This one has 5.
Is it as cohesive? That's the question. I don't think it's necessary. I think when you have an album like Death Will Reign, where it's just nonstop brutality, I think that's more cohesive. Because I think each of those songs does something different, even though it's all the same sound. But on this album, I feel like... I said the same sound. Yeah. I didn't say it sounds the same.
Oh, okay. Nuance.
2 different things. I don't know. As much
I
as
give it an A.
I don't know. You want to give it an A?
But I know maybe it's hard to give Nail Dead.
How is that better than Nail Dead Risen?
So here's my thinking. If Nail Dead Risen as an album with the same performances, if it had the production of Sin and Doom Volume 2, or at least a more modern production, it would elevate that record to being higher than this one.
Hey, Chris, remember when your main complaint about Till the End was it had modern production?
It's too modern.
That is my complaint with this record.
Okay.
The production is too modern for Doom. Doom doesn't need modern production. Doom needs Doom production. I'm pretty sure correct me if I'm wrong, Death Will Reign was produced by Putney, right? Will Putney?
Oh, really?
I think so.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not.
And that's why it's sure. For whatever, I love every record that Will Putney produces. I just, for whatever reason,
he's done a lot of the Norma Jean stuff, right?
Oh yeah, he did All Hail, incredible. Yeah. He also did, I believe he did Slave to Nothing, which again I think hits super hard. He's done a lot of really good stuff. Yeah,
he kind of has a slightly grittier sounding,
and I love that. Love that.
But yeah, so you would normally give this album a B, is what you're saying?
I would normally give this album a B. I mean, I know you just gave into me and gave Death Will Reign an S.
So you're cool with an A?
I would give this one a B plus at the highest, but let's do A for now, I guess.
Okay.
Those listening know why I allowed this.
Hey, we had some compromise. We had to work. We had
to take the W with Death Will Reign. All right, so now we've got just 2 EPs left.
Now these are a bit harder for me because I haven't listened to them a whole bunch.
Hellbent is really good.
Hellbent is really good.
Again, it's just an EP.
I'm gonna go out on a limb and end this quick and just see how you agree with me. I want to say
go for it.
Hellbent B, Last Days C. And I'm not saying Last Days is bad, but I mean, it's 3 songs. It's, I think if these 2 were combined into sort of a record, like a full record,
it'd probably be an A.
It would be a bit higher for sure. But I
could understand that if we're rating them just as a full thing. I think Last Days is cool.
Yeah,
I definitely do. I just need more out of it. Yeah, I could go B and C.
B and C? Okay.
Respectively.
I just think that is fair to the other albums, and then...
Yeah, I agree. And David or Brooke, if you're listening, we love you.
Yes, absolutely. Give us more Doom. Hurry up.
Yes, please, give us more Doom. Gosh. Give us some Man of God, Brooke. It's been like 2 years.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. I would rather have Impending Doom, but I understand.
I mean, I would rather have that too, but...
So, yeah,
I'm pretty sure Brooke said for like 2 years we'd get an album of Man of God.
So anyway, it took a long time, but...
So this is honestly going into this is exactly how I thought it would go.
Yeah, I think it's pretty good.
I think knowing like you... I was like, I'm pretty sure these will be all our compromises, and this is what it'll end up being.
I figured that I wasn't sure where you're going to put Baptized in Filth, because...
Okay, that's fair.
I thought maybe you were going to go a little lower and reserve just the S for Death Will Reign, but I like where this ended up.
No, I think both of those are perfect records, just in different ways, and I just have my preference.
Yeah. Cool. All right.
Impending
Doom. All right.
Alrighty.
Round 2.
Sleeping. What is Holy Name doing there?
Oh.
I just.
Well, I mean, I wanted to see where they lined up, because Sleeping Giant was better, right?
According to their T-shirt, it was.
According to their T-shirt. I'm just kidding. That was. I can't take it away now without resetting this whole thing, so it's just going to sit there. But
there you go. Okay. Just staring at us.
Yeah.
I got my Holy Name hat on.
Nice. See, that's why it was a segue.
Chris thought this said KingdomCore earlier.
It was hard to see. Everybody gets to see the footage.
It's black embroidery on a black hat, which in person looks really sick.
Well, it looks really sick like this.
Oh, thanks.
It does. But I also get slightly less clarity than what everybody else is going to get.
Yeah.
Okay.
Alrighty.
This is going to be hard off the bat, but I think...
Why?
I think later...
Why is this hard off the bat? Dread Champs is incredible. It's like an easy A, bro. Like, what?
Okay.
Tell me.
I was going to go B.
With Dread Champs.
It's because it's old, and it doesn't sound that...
What's that? What? What?
I'm kidding. Well, I mean, sort of. It's kind of the same... Sort of the same argument as with Impending Doom. On a production level, it doesn't hold up as well.
Oh no, it holds up even. Oh,
it's
dude,
a great album.
That style of music has to sound like that.
Yeah,
it has to.
I know it needs the more raw, gritty sounding.
Oh, it has to, bro.
I think it's going to be hard for where the conversation is going to go for the next album. Is where I'm,
bro.
Anyways,
bro.
Okay. A. We'll make it easy. I'll go.
Okay, I'm not. For the record, I am not bullying Chris into putting albums where I want them to.
Well, the podcast has KingdomCore on it, so I think
it is.
Everybody can read into that situation. What that?
I'm sure there's a lot of people who would love to replace you, Chris.
See?
But nobody else. I don't know how to edit, so I guess I got to keep you.
Yeah. I'll take it.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, you missed it. You were looking away. I'm not.
No, but what?
No, you'll have to wait and watch the final episode.
Okay. You think I watched this?
You have to watch this one. Okay, Sons of Thunder. I love Dread Champions. There's a lot of amazing songs on there.
Okay.
I think there's some of the best Sleeping Giant songs on Dread Champions. But
I also think it's their most cohesive record.
Dread Champions?
I do. I think it's the most Sleeping Giant record, actually. It's so
interesting.
Good.
Okay.
So good.
I think Sons of Thunder's better. The audible.
I want to know. I want to hear why. I'm genuinely curious.
These songs, I think, on a personal level,
9 minutes long.
Yeah, but that's awesome. No, there's there's only one song that's 8 minutes long, but Dread Champions has a song that's also almost 8 minutes long.
But
actually, their final 3 songs on Dread Champions is almost 20 minutes.
Yeah, but they're so good.
And it's 14 tracks. Anyways, Sons of Thunder, I think what it does better than Dread Champions is that it doesn't overstay its welcome.
How does Dread Champs overstay its welcome?
Well, it's 7 extra minutes. But
what do you mean 7x? Oh, 7 more?
7 more minutes, yeah.
Yeah, but with 5 more tracks.
Yeah, some of them are only like there's the second track on Dread Champions is 1 minute 47. Track 9 is awesome. 146.
Yeah, it's so sick.
Coming in before the hype train of having short music when everybody doesn't have an attention span like today.
I know, right?
I just think I don't know. There's something about
like, talk to me about your favorite songs.
Okay. Well, He Will Reign is obviously a beautiful worship track, and it's up there with like Oh Praise Him. Not quite. I think Oh Praise Him outs that.
Oh Praise Him's far and away better.
Okay, I will suck that one down. Wait, no, I read it. I'm editing that one. I have to edit that one out.
Dude, do you though?
I'm editing that one out.
Are you sure you're not gay?
Oh, Brian Walsh isn't watching this one.
That was so good.
Okay, edit it back in. I think everybody's going to be wondering why my face is red and I'm crying.
Chris had a Freudian slip. We'll say that.
What does that mean?
You don't know what a Freudian?
No.
Yeah, do you know like what's his name? I forget it. Freud, Dr. Freud. Like
I've heard the name. I don't really know.
Well, I don't know why I can't think of his first name. Is it Leonard Freud or something? Anyway, they call it a Freudian slip when you accidentally say something innocently that could be taken sexually. It's called a Freudian slip. Okay.
That's what happened.
That's science. That's psychology.
We had to edit it out because we'll get demonetized otherwise.
Do we make money from this?
I do. No, we get a little bit of ad revenue on YouTube, which is nice.
Oh, I did not know that. This will be coming out of your pay.
What pay?
I know. Oh my gosh, that was hilarious.
I will save that clip for a rainy day. Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah,
it will exist in some way, but maybe it shouldn't.
I'm gonna get so many messages of people asking, "What did Chris say?"
So,
Sons of Thunder, right?
Sons of Thunder. I think it's just song after song is just. It hits so hard. It has what I was talking about before. It has that just slight step up in production. It's not super clean, especially compared to the later records, but it holds up better today to my ears than the Dread Champions.
Okay.
Songs like, I think it's the end of Streets. Yeah, The Streets Don't Lie spawned out the absolute amazing Morning Star, which comes later. The whole Jesus Come section. Just the sound of I've Seen, like it's just so ambient and it's just vocals at the beginning for so long. And like I think that's unique. It stands out. But like Gang Signs, No One Leaves This Room Sick. I think Sons of Thunder, the title track, is my favorite song overall.
Okay.
It's just I don't know. Lyrically, I think it's an album that without having the lyrics in front of me, I can understand that much more. Like, I don't miss that much. Like, it's a little bit more straightforward. So I
don't think that many people are complaining about not understanding Sleepy G.
I know. I'm just saying, I'm giving my thoughts about why.
Okay.
Also,
sure.
I mean, both cover arts look really sick side by side. But I don't know. There's just something about the green... Like the cover art, I just think looks aesthetically pleasing to me. Both albums, I would say, are essentially the best cover. Maybe not, but Yeah, I don't know. There's just something where obviously there's the sophomore slump a lot of bands happen to have. I think they made a slightly better record their second time around.
Are you
overall.
thinking this is an S tier record?
No.
Okay.
I would have put Dread Champions probably at a B.
Okay.
And
you would have put
this
at A.
one at an A or also at a B.
Okay.
Where would you put it? Like, what's your initial thoughts?
It's honestly like a D, maybe C for me.
Okay, so
Like,
we'll put it at a B.
This record... Okay. Wait, let me explain. This record, I'm sorry. I love you, Tommy. You're awesome, and I respect you so much. But this album's just boring to me. I've never been able to get into it, and like I'm being honest. I'm not trying to dump on it. So Sleeping Giant took me so long to get into. When I created KingdomCore back in 2018, I wasn't even a Sleeping Giant fan yet at that point. Like, I got into them super late.
Like after they were gone.
Yeah, after they were gone. Like, I could have, their last shows were like 30 minutes for me, and I could have easily gone.
Oh my goodness.
And I just I just was not into hardcore a ton yet at the time. I just wasn't. And especially not into because Sleeping Giant just has such a different, like, hardcore sound than any other band ever, secular or Christian. They just do. And I just didn't really understand it. It never, I don't know, it never clicked with me. And a big reason for that was this record, because anytime I tried to get into them, like, I would choose this record because everyone sings its praises. I believe on Spotify at the time, it may be different now. It was like one of the highest, I think, on iTunes or whatever. It had like the most purchases. And so I would just listen, and I just did not get it at all. And still to this day, as a huge Sleeping Giant fan, for whatever reason, I don't get it. It just doesn't click with me. I don't know how. Like,
how many times have you listened?
You talk about it like droning on a lot. Like, I just listened to this probably 2 hours ago, 3 hours ago, and like, I understand the droning part and liking that. Like, I don't.
Well, I mean, that's more just like I've seen. Like, I don't.
Okay.
It's not that.
I don't know. It just doesn't impress me that much. Like, I listen to them like, this doesn't really make me bang my head a ton. There's some cool parts that I enjoy, but I don't know. Like, to me, it sounds way different. Like that, and I might be completely wrong, but I think Sons of Thunder and Dread Champs almost sound like two different bands.
I mean,
I don't know.
I think this album's just more refined, and for better or for worse. Like, it sounds like for you that sounds worse, but I don't know. It just didn't land with me. Yeah. So, like,
and that's fair. You'll go B.
I'll go B.
Okay. I can let you have B. That's fine.
I was mentally prepping myself for the heartache earlier today, because I figured that this is where we were going.
Why did you know I didn't like this album?
Because
I never told you that.
You don't ever talk about it, ever. Like,
yeah, that's actually true. I literally never talk about it.
I was surprised to hear that you came into Sleeping Giant so late, but...
Yeah, I got into Sleeping Giant really late, and I don't know. It haunts me that I never saw them live.
See, here's the thing. Maybe this will help you understand for me a little bit. Sleeping Giant... I actually started liking Sleeping Giant maybe a little bit before I got into metal. Like, I wasn't a hardcore guy, but like right before I did that dive into metal, with starting with like August Burns Red and For Today, whoever, I was actually on Sleeping Giant first, and they only had these two records out. This was pre 2010. This was before Kingdom Days.
I could definitely, and again, like, I feel like if I was around during that time and saw the progression of the band, I'd probably enjoy it a lot more.
Yeah.
Especially if I got to see some of these songs live. And I know you saw them live.
I got to see them at Creation 2010. Right.
Right.
Yeah.
So you probably saw like half this album.
I saw.
So I get that.
Yeah, and
I truly understand that.
show, just as a quick memory going into the next record, got to see Tithemy before.
Is it Tithemy or Tithemy?
I always said Tithemy. That's how I say it.
I always say Tithemy.
But like that song they played live like a year before this album came out, the next one, and it was amazing. But all
right.
I think that maybe just shows a little bit different. I'm curious what other people think. If you've been around with Sleeping Giant for a long time, which of these two records stands out more to you?
That's actually a really great.
I know there's a lot of OGs
point.
that are going to say Dread Champions. I know.
I might have to put out like a poll on my story and be like, which album do you like more?
Yeah,
I think that'd be really interesting to see the results of.
Next album.
All right. Kingdom Days in an Evil Age. This is like probably their most iconic record, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, I think overall this has the most songs on it. I mean, it has the most songs on it, I think. Well, actually no, I guess Dread Champions.
Dread Champions has 14.
These are more full-length songs. It's their longest
Well,
album.
I was just saying it's like their most like iconic album, I think. Just because it has Tithemy, which is basically the Christian hardcore, like one of the greatest the Christian hardcore anthem, honestly.
Yeah.
I mean, it just is.
It's one of the greatest heavy Christian songs ever.
Devastator, Dead Man, like in that conversation, probably towards the top.
Yeah.
Like you can make the argument it's the greatest Christian heavy song ever. You can make that argument.
Yeah, I agree. But yeah, this album
Cross
is full
Suicide
of bangers.
Sick.
Yeah, Cross is Suicide, Eyes Wide Open.
Yeah. Oh, is that the one with Frankie from Amir? Yeah. That was pretty sick.
Morning Star, like I was talking about earlier with
Morning Star.
That song just hits so hard. I
like this album a lot. I think it's a solid A. Personally, I know a lot of people would probably go S. Were you gonna say S?
I was debating. This was one
I'm okay with S just because of the significance of this album to the scene.
Yeah.
Even if I don't enjoy it as an S, I enjoy it as an A personally.
Yeah, I think.
But I'm cool with S.
Okay, yeah, let's go with S. I think if any album deserves it, I think there's another one on here, but.
So Finished People, S.
Oh, okay. We're on the same track as that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. You've said.
Yeah.
What episode was it when? Oh, it was our overrated underrated where we answered questions.
Right. Yeah.
And someone asked like underrated albums, and you said Finished People, and I was like, no, it's not. It's like their best album, and we were both like really shocked because we never talked about it.
Well, because dude, maybe it was because before I had For the Rock, I was working with Peter over at Christian Metal Source, and I had a conversation with him about this, and he thought that Finished People was like their worst album, like by far. And I was like, bro, I'm like, I don't know. Like, I can see why certain people didn't like it because at the time,
I've never seen someone not like this album.
At the time of release, I remember online there being a lot of hate for it. Because
really, okay,
most of the guys in the band weren't around. It was Tommy.
Really,
and I don't
see. Again, that's another Sleepy Giant thing. Is I don't really know much of their lore with like band members.
At least
like
live
Jeff was in the band, right?
I can't remember who the musicians were that played on this. I haven't looked into the album credits, but I know at the time live, it was just Tommy and like 3 other new dudes that like.
Oh, okay.
And
see, I didn't know that at all.
Yeah, it was a totally different band. It felt like the Sleeping Giant that had existed, especially during the up to the Kingdom days. Like it felt like that band was gone. And in between Kingdom days and Finished People, this was when Tommy heard his voice. And if you listen to Finished People, like he still kind of yells on it a bit, but like his vocals drastically changed. There's a lot more singing.
So that's interesting that you say like it felt like it's not the same band anymore, because this was the album that converted me to Sleeping Giant, because I didn't really like, honestly, again, I didn't know much about them. I didn't really know this record existed. and it may have been someone told me you should listen to Finished People because it's the least Sleeping Giant sounding SG record.
And
so I remember turning on Clutches and I was like, oh, this is so cool. Like, I'm on board. And then I went and listened to I Am and was like, okay, like, now I get this.
Yeah. This album, I think, at the time, it was very divisive.
Record. Okay. Death Knell is so good, bro.
Yeah, dude. I think
Christus Victor, like every song, Victory, ending it with Victory.
I love Overthrow. I love the song. Actually, Finished People might be one of my favorite Sleeping Giant songs.
I'm gonna listen to this tomorrow.
It's so good, man. I was re-listening to this week, and I'm like, and then The Great Divorce. Oh my goodness, that was the one with Levi the Poet on it.
Oh yeah, that one's so
like
good,
just
bro.
the line, "If divorce had a face, I would break it." Like that.
Yeah,
it just so good. This album, I think the one downside, and I'm still willing to give it an S tier, but I would be okay with putting it at A tier because I think by today's standards and comparing it to some of the other records, like the production is a little bit messy sounding, but I'm okay with it. Like,
that's an S.
Yeah. it's so weird though. If
the songs are all perfect.
If you actually listen to every Sleeping Giant record, if you just like played a couple songs off each album, the production on all of their albums sounds so different.
That's actually true.
Like they don't
That's
have
why
a
I like
similar.
Them. They have an album for different moods.
Yeah.
Every album like fits a different, like Dread Champs is like my gym, my lifting album. Same with I Am. But then like I feel like Kingdom Days is like a driving album.
Yeah, because and actually when I remember having the CD,
People's like a background album for me.
I got the CD for Kingdom Days, and we were driving we moved from BC to Saskatchewan, and so we drove for like 3 days with our moving van and a car and stuff, and I remember having this album playing in the car a couple times.
That's pretty cool. It's a cool memory.
Yeah.
Nice. I'm glad So what do you think of I Am? I don't think we've ever talked about this album before.
This is going to be hard, honestly.
Really? I think personally it's the best. I'm not going to say best Sleeping Giant album. I think it's the best farewell album.
Yes.
In the Christian scene.
That it did its job. I like that they went into this being like, you know what?
This is our last.
This is going to be our final album. Like they knew ahead of time.
Not many bands do that.
Yeah. We'll get into this discussion a little bit more with the next band, but I feel like there was a little bit of a cliffhanger there in some aspects.
Yeah.
But
Yep.
Musically speaking, like this is the best ending a band could ever have. Whether or not it's better than some of their other stuff, but it was like they nailed it for a goodbye.
I think this album has some of the best songs in their entire discography. I think Preachcore Lives is probably their best.
Yeah.
Is my favorite. Like, besides Tethemi, obviously, I think Preachcore Lives is like their best song or one of their best. I just love that track so much.
Yeah, I can see that.
I think it was great having Maddie Montgomery come back and do guest vocals on Second Chance Kids.
Dude, there's so many features.
He had been out of For Today for like 3 years at the time.
Right. Yeah, that's true. And like there's a lot of features on this record.
Yeah. Brooks on Reformation is so
they even had Garrett on there.
No Sleep is good.
No Love.
I mean,
I love Lantern.
Hosanna is amazing. Oh, Lantern is awesome.
The chorus of Lantern is just so good.
Yeah. Hosanna is just so good.
Yeah. So
I'm so happy to give this an A.
Okay.
What were you gonna say?
I could see that. I was torn between A and B.
Why were you torn on B? I'm curious.
Because I love Sons of Thunder so much, and it's
oh my god.
It's hard because like we were talking about, every album sounds different. Every album has amazing tracks in it. And I think this is just the whole conversation of doing tier lists where it's hard to be like, this album's better than this album. But
I get that.
It's an amazing
album. Let's say Sons of Thunder is an A. Are you making I Am an A as well?
No, I'd probably put it at B.
Oh, would you? Okay.
I think like I'm not. It's hard to say that it's their worst record. Like I think I would probably switch Dread Champions and Sons of Thunder around, and then I could put I Am maybe at an A there. That's what I would do. But I
love I Am. I think I'm
okay
fantastic.
with putting it in
I go back to it so often.
It's an A record.
It's probably my most listened to Sleepy G album.
Cool. I love the tie-in with the artwork, but at the same time I'm like, I wish it had its own different thing. It's kind of funny looking at the two.
Yeah. Where are we putting Holy Name? That's an S for me, bro. That album is incredible. If we're doing this as a joke,
yeah.
But like,
would you put? Hold on, though.
S tier album.
You would put it at S tier with those two, or would you put it?
I'd put it above those two.
You put it above, so you like Holy Name more.
I like Holy Name more than so. I like the Holy Name self-titled album more than I like any album by Sleeping Giant. I'm not saying I like Holy Name as a band more than Sleeping Giant's entire body of work.
Yes. If you had to give one, you would rather have 5 albums from Sleeping Giant over the one from Holy Name.
Well, 100%. I just think the album from Holy Name is better than all those 5 albums individually.
Yeah. Okay.
And I think a lot of people might actually agree with me.
So Tommy, just a word of advice: if you want to make an S tier record, you just got to have a black and white cover.
Oh my gosh, you're right. That's true. That's really funny.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm cool with that. I think that's a fair evaluation. I'm
love it.
Sad that
I'm sorry,
but it's fair. It was where I was expecting it, honestly.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, we're all set for today.
All right. This is the reason you guys are probably listening, and you probably skipped to this.
So
point
if you skipped, please go leave a new review.
We're not giving you guys timestamps.
Yeah, that's true.
We're not giving y'all timestamps. So if you skipped, go back, listen to the record. Listen to again, we talked about this earlier. If you skip songs when listening to an album, grow up. If you skipped bands in this episode, grow up.
I thought you were just going to say if you skip to the middle of a podcast, then grow up.
I mean, that's essentially what I'm saying.
Listen to the whole thing. You don't listen to podcasts. You just ask me to listen to it and then tell you what the person
listen to All Consuming Podcast. I love or I listen to interviews by my favorite musicians. Yeah, that's about it. I listen back to probably 90% of our episodes.
Oh, really?
Highly criticizing myself, thinking you said too many times, or I could hear you swallow 8 times.
And I cut them out. I cut at least half of the ums out.
No, that's not true.
No, I do. But not just for you. Me too. I say like a lot, and I say a lot. Yeah. And I am very picky on that myself. I try to leave some in to make it believable.
Yeah.
But I know what you mean.
For our interviews, at least, I'm so engaged in the interview that I'm not actually I'm a part of the interview, but I'm also facilitating a conversation, so I feel like I'm kind of like outside of it.
Yeah.
And I don't actually pay attention in the way in which I'm going to retain everything from it.
When we're recording, you're saying.
Yes, when we're recording, I'm doing so many things, thinking about the next question coming up while also listening.
When I get too engrossed in listening and I suck at coming up with questions.
Yeah, exactly. And so I'm trying to do all these things at once that I don't really have time to. I don't really have time to breathe, and I don't want to say enjoy because I really do enjoy it, but I don't have enough time to absorb everything. So when I listen back, I'm like, oh yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that is fair. Thank you for taking on the facilitating role a bit more.
I try.
Okay, Ecclesia.
All right. This is a C tier album.
Not pulling any punches. I agree. Oh,
you agree? Oh, okay. Okay.
Hold on.
Maddie would give it an F.
A, B.
Oh, you switched.
No, I didn't mean to. I was like, wait a sec. I think. Hold on here.
Can't you just switch the
There we
rows?
go. That's better. Hopefully that wasn't like that for the last one.
I don't think it was.
I was like putting it down. I'm like, wait,
it's a C tier. I mean, I know people love this album, and most of those people are probably blinded by nostalgia. Let's be real.
Yeah,
not in like a insulting way.
I think
the band would probably say this is an F. I'm being honest.
The sweep picking though is amazing.
It is. It is. I mean, it's fun. I'm not saying it's not enjoyable, but like, come on.
Also,
as a For Today record,
I think
C tier.
This album, I'm not
ride 'em, cowboy.
I forgot about that. There's two things on this album that I wish there was a little bit more later in the discography, and it's like I could take or leave the sweep picking. Like that's one thing. It would be kind of cool to get a little bit more.
That's one thing you want more of?
A little bit later on.
Okay.
But I could take or leave that. It doesn't matter as much.
Mm-hmm.
But I wish, like, this album has a lot of high vocal parts from Maddie. Like, high screaming. It does. And I wish there was a little bit more of that later in their discography.
Okay.
I think that's, like, when you go back and listen to this after you listen to their newer stuff, it's like, whoa, like, this is almost a different band, but, like, you can still hear For Today, obviously, but it was such a different style.
Yeah. I'm really sorry to whoever we offended by putting this at C, but like, let's be
fair.
It's
honest.
Fair. Yeah.
Portraits. This is hard because
it's gonna take a while.
I honestly, I would put it at C as well.
Oh wow. Okay.
This album over the last 5 or so years for me has really kind of not held up. Like it's good. Like it's For Today. That's really good. But I think when they were on Face Down, actually sorry, when like Immortal came out, when they left Face Down, I'm not saying that this album was better than Immortal, but I had a high regard for this album a lot more than I do today. And like, I understand it. I have it back there. That was my very first vinyl record I ever owned out of the 20 that I have, maybe. Yeah. I've always really liked this album, and there's the moments on it that are amazing. Like Saul of Tarsus, so good.
So good.
Which one is it? Towards the end, the worship song.
Is it
Talmudim, the servants?
I think it is.
Yeah, it's like give me a new name, like that part.
I believe
that song I've always loved. Like
Joel the Watchman is really sick.
Yeah, and like there's really good stuff on this record. I think it just doesn't stand the test of time as much as the rest of their discography does.
Them fighting words, and not with me.
Yeah,
like
I know.
Honestly,
a lot of the community's gonna. But guys,
like,
listen.
I know people are gonna hate us so much. Like I'm okay. Like I honestly think it's a C tier metalcore record. Like I really do.
I'm okay with putting it at B, but
I am okay putting it at B.
You know what?
Just so we don't get our heads
for the sake of this, let's put it at B.
Because it's not nearly the same as, or should we just drop Ecclesia down to D?
No.
Okay.
I have,
but anyway, like Portraits, I kind of agree. I like when I got into because again, For Today, actually, I don't want to say I got into them late, but like when I got into For Today, I was into a lot of the more modern stuff,
right?
And like Fight the Silence was kind of one of my first metalcore records. I remember when it came out. I was in high school, and I was like, okay, like I really like this. This is really cool. Yeah. And I went back and listened to their older stuff, and Portraits just was not for me. I didn't like it. And when I got more into metalcore, everyone's like, oh, Portraits is awesome. Portraits, you know? And I keep going back, and I'm like, what's the big deal? Like, it's just metalcore. It's pretty good. It's got some songs that are really, really awesome, but it doesn't do anything. I don't know. Like, I think it's again, like Chris said, it's For Today. It's good. I like it. I listened to it. I listened to it last week. But I just don't understand why it is as hyped as it is. I just don't. Right. I'm sorry.
I think maybe some of the love for it is that as much as the next one, this album, I think, was kind of the one that put For Today on the map of at least the Christian scene.
I get that.
Like, Breaker
I get that.
kind of put them on the map of, like, they were now becoming, like, the top of the Christian scene and then getting noticed by the secular scene. And then Immortal really took that to, like... I think Portraits was the one that put them on the map for the Christian scene, and that was so for a lot of like the Christian metal kids at the time, like this was important in that way. But I think it just doesn't quite hold up musically, and
I think it sounds dated. I really do. I'm sorry. Come at me. I don't care. I can also,
I've never really liked the artwork.
Thank you. It's
not their worst, but I would say it's their second worst.
It makes me feel a certain way. I don't know why.
Yeah, there's something off about it. Maybe it's the weird...
I think it's supposed to be that
way. It's like the puke green.
I think it's supposed to be
yellow.
uncomfortable.
Just the colors. Yeah, but it's fine. It's good.
Yeah,
it's For Today. We love For Today. We still like this album.
We've had Maddie on. Yeah. Go listen to our interview with Maddie.
We've had the vocalists of all these bands on.
Yeah, we have.
Breaker. This is going to be potentially hard. I'm curious because I've known some of your thoughts on this over the years.
Any regular listener of this podcast knows my thoughts on it. I'm totally cool giving it an A.
Okay.
I know you want it as an S, so let's hear it. Let make your case. Plead your case.
This album is, I think, one of the...
Don't tell the grandma story.
Okay,
but
that
like 8 times.
I know. Hey,
I'm just messing.
KingdomCore has blown up since the last time I talked about the grandma story. Maybe we'll have movie play.
Oh my gosh. Chris, for those who don't know, Chris showed this album to his grandma who hates metal, and she was like, that was kind of good. Like, I can understand that.
Yeah, and she was into it.
Yeah.
And she didn't hate metal, but she didn't understand it. And then I showed her this, and she was very open to it at that point, especially Christian metal. But I think this album does, especially at the time, like, I don't know of any other album that has so many, like, spoken word interludes that, like...
That's fair.
Story. Like, this was, like, so unique. At the time, to me, anyways, and so that's one point. It's unique.
Do you know what? I cannot listen to this. Gary
me across the face.
Gary from All Consuming Podcast ruined this record for me.
No, wasn't it?
I cannot.
Was it Gary?
It was Gary.
Okay.
No, it's Gary who does the impression.
It was so
the perfect impression. He did it on.
I might insert the clip right here.
Smacking me across my face. Yeah, nothing. The narrator does that part. We're done. We keep that.
Dude, insert that clip. Yeah. It's so. Oh my gosh, I was crying.
Yeah, that one.
Insert that clip. Insert that clip for sure.
Okay, so the uniqueness in that aspect of how it was written and how it was made is one.
That's
thing.
fair. Yeah.
For the most part, lyrically, I think it really stepped up a notch compared to their previous work.
That's fair. That's a
production really stepped up a notch from their previous work. I think Devastator is one of, like, what we were talking about during the Sleeping Giant portion. It's one of those, like, most important Christian heavy songs ever.
I think you can call it, whether it is your favorite Christian metal song or not, I think you can call it the greatest Christian metalcore track of all time.
Yeah.
I have no issue calling it
that. It's there. And then along with it, I wouldn't say it stands as high, but, like, just about there, I would say Seraphim is one, obviously. Like, that song just is insane.
Yeah.
But, like, I don't know. This album is just so unique, and I don't think it could ever be recreated.
Unique.
Like,
that is a great. You're making a really good case.
Thank you. I feel like I'm usually bad with these kind of, like, persuading people on
keep going. The
artwork, it's blue. No, just kidding.
Biblically accurate angel.
This is probably the most tattooed artwork from For Today.
That's fair. That's totally, probably the most tattooed like Christian metal artwork, honestly.
Yeah.
Because it's honestly their like logo too.
Yeah. It became that.
It became their logo. So everyone. I mean, I think I have like 3 or 4 friends with this as a tattoo, like legit.
That's cool. So yeah, I don't know. Yeah. I just think this was, and obviously it was their last face down record, which at the time we didn't know, but like,
okay, yeah,
this really launched their career to where they ended up.
Yeah,
and the way they blew up, like on Warped Tour, and just everybody knew who For Today was.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's
those bigots.
It's like the Sleeping Giant Kingdom days, where it's like this is an important record in the history of our scene.
I don't think you heard me.
I didn't hear all of it.
You were talking about them being on Warped Tour and getting huge, and I was like, those bigots.
Yeah, there was some drama there too, but yeah, that's my argument.
Okay, let's keep it at us. I think, again, it's not my favorite For Today record. I think it's fantastic. I've never said it's not good.
Yeah.
And I understand it in its context. I really do. So
and I think going into this next album,
see, For Today's best record.
So this is where, when this album came out, because it was only
the boys became men.
It was only a year later? No, it's 2012. Okay.
There's 2 years.
Yeah, but I think it was like the end of 2010 was Breaker, and then it was like early 2012. So like it really didn't feel like that long. I could be wrong on those dates. I just remember it didn't feel that long.
Breaker was August 31st. Immortal was May 29th.
Okay.
So they were about 2 years apart.
Okay. It felt like a quick turnaround to me, but
yeah, I hear that.
I think at the time, because of how important Breaker was to me, and like Breaker came out right when I was like, I had just dove headlong into metal, so
that's a great album to come out like right after you get into the
scene. Like it blew my mind, and
I could see that.
I think when Immortal came out,
were you a little
I was a little disappointed at first, because it felt like, in some ways, it felt like too much of the same to me. But with hindsight and years later, I can say that now I understand why you think it's their best album, and why I think these deserve to be in the same conversation. Like, where I almost have lost a little bit of that love for Breaker. I think I absolutely love Breaker. I think a little bit of that nostalgia glasses have kind of fallen off a little bit.
Yeah. It's just so good, dude. Every song.
Yeah, it's...
And to start an album, like The King is just such a great intro. Yeah. And then the way it bleeds into Fearless is just such an incredible way to open an album. Then followed up with Stand Defiant. Like, it just keeps going. Like, every song. The intro to Immortal is just the title track. Just so everyone dies. Like, it's so good.
Yeah, and there was some pretty cool, like,
it's got good guest
Sunny was
features.
On here. Yeah.
Which song is Sunny on again?
The Only Name, I think.
Oh yeah, that's right. And then Jake from ABR is on Set Apart.
Right.
And then wasn't the guy from Stray from the Path on Open Eyes?
Probably. I never listened to them, but I think I remember there being a look list. I didn't know who he was, but
yeah, which is interesting because that's like a pretty anti-Christian band.
Well, and this was not long after Frankie was in a mirror, like from a mirror, like
that's
in
true.
The Sleeping Giant. I think and at this time, like Sleeping Giant's hardcore For Today is metalcore, like metal. It's more metal.
That's fair. Yeah,
and so they were in slightly different streams, but I think it was like. Both of these bands are the most ministry-based bands, like, and they were both doing that, and so they were both notable, and they were kind of taking cues from each other in some ways.
Yeah, they feel like brother bands.
Yeah,
in a way.
Yeah, and it's like Maddie and Tommy, like to me, as like coming out of high school, or like in high school, coming out of high school. It's like, if I ever had, I definitely, looking back, I probably did idolize some people in the scene a little bit, but like those two guys were.
I think we all did that when we were younger.
Yeah. And it's like those two guys specifically were like, they were just awe-inspiring with the way that, like, during their live shows, the way they would preach the gospel, the way that they would, you know, like pray with people. They went above and beyond as far as what a Christian band was at the time, and they were doing it successfully, where they would like, they were noticed from outside, outside the church circles. So,
yep. And then My Confession, dude, such a good album intro or album ending. Yeah. It's that spoken word part at the end, bro. Chills, man.
So I'm assuming then that we're staying in this tier for the next release.
We are staying. Yeah, that's actually true. Yeah, Prevailer. Why would you agree? Prevailer, right?
Yeah.
There. Right.
I just wish it was a full length.
Right there. I wish it was a full length.
But
incredible EP.
I will say,
I was talking to Chris earlier, and I think I said it was probably the best Christian metal EP of all time.
Yeah, it's definitely, I would say for
there.
sure top 5, if not the best. But like
definitely top 3.
Yeah.
But
okay,
like,
so
Crown of Thorns.
If anybody's arguing the fact that it's an EP and we're giving it S tier, when we kind of make the argument with like Impending Doom and the EPs being lower.
So this is a better EP.
If you get
it's that simple.
If you get this the physical copy of this, like the CD, it came with a DVD with a documentary about the band.
Oh, what? I need to watch.
It's like a half hour, maybe 35 minutes.
That.
I'm pretty sure it's on
That's
YouTube.
cool.
But so it came with that. It came with like a lot of the music videos up to that point. And then also like just the fact the acoustic version of Fearless, like For Today doing an acoustic song was just
that is a great,
absolutely amazing,
great rendition.
Yeah.
Love it. I don't actually consider it like a part of the EP.
Really.
I mean, I know it is, but
I can understand it because it's
like,
not
again,
the
like We
traditional
Are the
song.
Ones by Wolves at the Gate. I don't consider the Heralds or No Rivals acoustic as like the actual EP, if that makes sense.
That's fair. I think in the case of this, because it was kind of like a
I get it. I understand that.
Like,
yeah, and that's fair. Yeah,
an in between record.
But I'm just saying I'm judging it based off of the 4 songs.
Right.
Yeah, From Zion is amazing. That chorus is so good.
Crown of
Maddie
Thorns.
does like.
Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there.
On From Zion, Maddie does like his almost black metal style vocals.
Right.
Which are really in like the second verse, which is really sick. And I think that's what you were talking about, like from Ecclesia.
Like doing the high vocals.
Yeah, the high vocals.
Yeah,
Like you would have wanted more of those.
Yeah.
I get that. Yeah, it's just such a banger of an EP. But yeah, Crown of Thorns. It should have been me. One of the greatest like Christian metal songs ever.
Yeah. It's up there with like Devastator and
totally. Yeah. It's like the Christian metal Easter song.
Yeah.
Or Good Friday, I should say.
Oh, it's Easter still.
Yeah. All right.
Okay.
Fight the Silence.
I've just thought about this now. I know where I want to put these two, but
tell me where you want to put Fight the Silence.
Fight the Silence to me. B.
Okay. That's better than I thought.
I
was gonna give it A.
I was debating on a C, but
I was gonna. Oh, wow. I was gonna give it A.
I think in the context of where we have these records already, I think B makes more sense for it.
Do you think it's better than Portraits?
Yes. Well, it's hard, like, because now they're so far apart. Like, obviously, when we talk production, different. I think these are both the worst cover arts. I Fight the Silence, the cover, it makes sense for what the album is. I felt like it was lazy at the time as far as the design goes, but like it makes sense. Like I'm not arguing against that it shouldn't be that. It just that was one where when
I don't think it's supposed to be like art.
No, I know.
Like,
it's just, yeah. But like, I get the point.
It's an album cover, not album art, if that makes sense. I feel like there's certain albums where like the art, yeah, what you're saying, like
it just felt lacking to me when it came out. Like when they announced the album and that was the picture.
Yeah.
I think obviously Break the Cycle, like Reflections and Break the Cycle, Pariah.
Pariah is so good. Fight the Silence. Dude, the music video for Fight the Silence is what? It's so sad.
And
they have like the actual trafficking victims. That's really hard to watch.
Yeah. And like
Break the Cycle.
I like what they did with this album. I just felt like this was now where the sound was almost becoming monotonous. Like the endless breakdowns.
That's a fair criticism, but I love how much I so love what their breakdowns and their tone on this album sound like, that I can blindly just love it and be smacked around by the breakdowns.
This was your kind of introduction to them, right?
This kind of was, yeah. It was like the first time I ever heard breakdowns and enjoyed them.
Yeah. So like I can understand it. It's like,
yeah.
It's
almost
too tight of a mix to me. Like it's like
that's fair. Like
so
it's very crisp.
Yeah,
it's very clean. And again, that's why I love it so much. Like, and I think Hated by the World is really good.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a great album ending. I love the chorus of that. For the Fallen is so powerful.
Yeah.
Like the way Ryan Latrue sings that chorus, there's like such an urgency to it when he's, like, come back to your home. Like it's just so good. Fatherless has a lot of talking about Maddie. And then I don't know, I love the album, but I can understand. I think honestly it probably is a B tier metalcore record, and I just enjoy it through an A tier lens. Probably.
I get that.
So we can do B, I guess.
Okay, because then I think it leaves a nice, perfect opening.
I don't know, because like I like Fight the Silence more than I like Awake.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. Like Awake is really good. Wake is probably actually better. Again,
I think if we're going on a purely musical level, and like just taking everything that makes an album, I think Wake is a superior album to Fight the Silence.
That's fair. Like No Truth, No Sacrifice goes so hard.
Broken Lens is really honestly one of my favorite For Today songs. Like it's up in the top.
So good. I always forget how good that song is. Yeah. Deserter, Bitter Roots, Wasteland, Hopeless. Okay, yeah, we could throw
and Two Brothers at the end.
Oh yeah, bonus track.
Yeah, I think that makes sense to me. Like,
yeah, I think we pissed enough people off.
Yeah. Well, what do you guys think? I think this is fair. I think it's fair.
I mean,
we've said that with basically everything, but. Yeah. I think maybe personally I want to put as many S tiers, but like at the same time I'm like, I don't know. Like maybe like if we were just going musically and Breaker didn't have the impact that it did, and like just the culture around that whole album, like maybe it would be an A tier. But
that's how I feel about it.
But I think that personally I couldn't give it less.
That's fair.
Yeah, I think it's good. Anyways,
yeah.
What did you guys think? Thank you so much for listening. This is a long episode again.
It is.
Yeah, let us know what you guys thought. Thank you all so much for listening. We're kind of back, and hopefully we've had an episode or two before this.
Yeah, hopefully. We should.
Yeah, we got a lot of stuff happening in the fall. We should maybe do possibly like a news episode sometime soon. I feel like there's so much going on in the scene that we haven't even.
There is. I don't even know like what time period to cover those news episodes. Dude, those news episodes were fun when we were doing them, but they were a lot. They were a lot of work.
They were a lot of work.
And All Consuming Podcast is doing a great job holding down the fort with their core values weekly episodes.
Right, that is true.
If you guys don't listen to I always sing their praises. Listen to All Consuming Podcast. Gary and Tyler are the coolest dudes. They're hilarious, super nice, super knowledgeable. Probably more so than me. I don't know about Chris. Chris is very knowledgeable, but they're super cool dudes, and they have an awesome podcast. And they come out with like weekly episodes where they listen to all the new Christian metal releases every week.
Yeah, and I even got to be on an episode. That was fun.
You did.
Yeah, definitely listen to all.
If they weren't on the West Coast, I could be on an episode because they listen to like all the new music at 9 midnight Eastern when it drops. But it's like 9:30 their time.
That's the one. That's the one. That's why it's West Coast, Best Coast, right? Anywho.
Alrighty.
Love you guys.
Well, thanks for listening.
See you soon.
Bye.